The Sith, a shadowy and malevolent sect within the galaxy's tapestry, have always been synonymous with power, ambition, and betrayal. Their pursuit of dominance over the galaxy and the Force itself was not merely a chaotic impulse but an ideology deeply rooted in the dark side. Over thousands of years, the Sith Order evolved, fractured, and adapted. One of the most critical turning points in their history was the establishment of the Rule of Two, a doctrine decreed by Darth Bane that reshaped the Sith's path and ensured their eventual resurgence. To understand why this rule came into being, we must delve into the depths of Sith philosophy and history. In its earliest incarnations, the Sith Order was not constrained by such a principle. It was, in fact, a sprawling collection of dark side practitioners, each pursuing their selfish desires for power. This loose organization often proved their greatest strength and their most fatal weakness. In the aftermath of the 100-Year Darkness, exiled Jedi who embraced the dark side encountered the Sith species on Korriban, and together they formed an empire steeped in hatred and domination. At its height, this Sith empire was a powerful collective, capable of challenging the Republic and the Jedi Order, even capturing Coruscant at one point. However, such victories were fleeting. The Sith Empire's expansion and internal power dynamics sowed seeds of ruin. The dark side inherently encourages competition, and Sith teachings glorify the elimination of the weak by the strong. When applied to an entire order, these principles became a double-edged sword. Every Sith Lord sought to outmaneuver their peers, seizing power at the expense of unity. Alliances within the Sith were superficial, always undercut by betrayal. This disloyalty, paradoxically integral to their philosophy, consistently undermined the Sith's ability to present a united front against external threats, such as the Jedi. The catastrophic defeat of the Sith in the Great Hyperspace War and the eventual collapse of their empire were products of their internal discord. Sith Lords turned on one another, undermining coordinated strategies, and leaving the Empire vulnerable. The Republic and the Jedi capitalized on this disarray, systematically dismantling Sith strongholds. By the time of the Jedi-Sith War, the Sith Order had been reduced to scattered remnants. Yet, rather than learn from these mistakes, the Sith who survived these purges continued to repeat the same destructive cycle. Enter Darth Bane. Emerging from the ashes of the defeated Sith, Bane was a visionary who perceived the fatal flaw of his predecessors. Unlike the others, he sought to fundamentally reshape the Sith Order, believing their survival depended on radical reform. Bane's insights were forged in the crucible of despair and destruction. Born into oppression on a Patros, he climbed the ranks of the Brotherhood of Darkness, only to see its futility. The Brotherhood, led by Lord Khan, had attempted to unite the Sith under a more egalitarian structure, seeking to suppress the infighting that had plagued them for generations. Yet, this experiment only diluted the dark side's potency and bred mediocrity. Darth Bane rejected the Brotherhood's philosophy as an affront to the Sith's essence. To him, the dark side was not a force to be shared equally but a wellspring of power to be mastered by the strongest. Bane saw the infighting not as the problem itself but as a symptom of the Sith Order's excessive size. He reasoned that the dark side's immense energy was diminished when spread across too many individuals, each vying for their piece of power. Instead, Bane sought to concentrate this energy in a single master-apprentice relationship, ensuring that only the most capable would wield the dark side's full strength. Bane orchestrated the Brotherhood's destruction during the Battle of Ruzan, utilizing the Thought Bomb, a devastating Sith technique, to annihilate both Jedi and Sith forces. With the Brotherhood eradicated, he declared himself the sole Dark Lord of the Sith and established the Rule of Two, one to embody power, the other to crave it. This doctrine ensured that there would always be only two Sith, a master who held ultimate power and an apprentice who aspired to take it. When the apprentice became strong enough to overthrow the master, they would claim the mantle, continuing the cycle. The Rule of Two was not simply a pragmatic solution to the Sith's internal chaos. It was also deeply symbolic. Bane believed that the Sith's purpose was to pursue ultimate mastery of the dark side, and the master-apprentice dynamic embodied this ethos. The master would teach and nurture the apprentice, all the while aware that their protege would one day challenge and replace them. This perpetual cycle of betrayal and succession mirrored the dark side's nature, an endless struggle for supremacy, where only the strongest survived. Through the rule of two, Bane also sought to conceal the Sith from the galaxy. The Sith would no longer operate as a visible empire or army, as this only invited the Republic and Jedi to crush them. Instead, the Sith would work in the shadows, manipulating events and consolidating power until they were ready to strike. By limiting their numbers and embracing secrecy, the Sith could avoid the catastrophic defeats of the past and work toward their ultimate goal of galactic domination with unparalleled focus and patience. The rule of two marked a profound transformation in the Sith Order's methods and ambitions. No longer would the Sith rely on brute force or overt warfare to achieve their ends. Instead, they became masters of manipulation and intrigue, orchestrating events behind the scenes to weaken the Republic and the Jedi. This new approach required immense discipline and cunning, traits cultivated through the master-apprentice relationship. Over centuries, this doctrine bore fruit, as the Sith worked tirelessly to undermine their enemies, culminating in the rise of Darth Sidious and the fall of the Republic. Under the rule of two, the Sith endured in secret for a millennium, surviving while the Jedi believed them extinct. This extraordinary patience and adaptability were direct results of Bane's vision. By concentrating their power and focusing their efforts, the Sith could exploit the Republic's complacency and the Jedi's hubris. Each generation of Sith refined the doctrine, honing their skills and expanding their influence until they were ready to seize control. While the rule of two ensured the Sith's survival and eventual resurgence, it was not without its challenges. The master-apprentice relationship, though powerful, was inherently unstable. The master constantly feared betrayal, while the apprentice simmered with resentment and ambition. This tension often led to conflict, with apprentices occasionally killing their masters prematurely, disrupting the cycle. Nevertheless, this volatility was an integral part of the doctrine, ensuring that only the most ruthless and capable Sith could claim the title of Dark Lord. By the time of the Galactic Republic's decline, the Sith had perfected the art of subterfuge and manipulation. Darth Sidious, the culmination of generations of Sith planning, orchestrated the Republic's transformation into the Galactic Empire and the near eradication of the Jedi Order. His rise to power was the ultimate vindication of Bane's vision and the rule of two. Sidious's mastery of both the dark side and political manipulation allowed him to achieve what the Sith of old had only dreamed of: total dominion over the galaxy. In many ways, the rule of two reflected the essence of the Sith philosophy: power, cunning, and survival. By distilling the Sith Order into its most potent form, Bane ensured its longevity and effectiveness. The master-apprentice relationship, with its inherent conflict and balance of power, was the ultimate expression of the dark side's principles. Though the Sith's numbers were small, their influence was vast, and their legacy endured long after their apparent demise. Despite the rule of two's transformative success, it was not immune to the same paradoxes that plagued the Sith. At its core, the doctrine relied on the delicate balance of power between master and apprentice, a relationship defined by trustlessness and inevitable betrayal. While this tension ensured that the strongest Sith would rise, it also created vulnerabilities. For every instance where the apprentice successfully overthrew the master, there was the potential for failure, premature rebellion, or even mutual destruction. This precarious dynamic underscored the Sith's inherent reliance on chaos to refine their strength. The Sith, under the rule of two, walked a fine line between self-destruction and triumph. In some cases, apprentices betrayed their masters before they were ready, leading to disastrous outcomes. In others, masters clung too tightly to power, stifling their apprentices' growth and diminishing the Sith's potential. Darth Bane himself experienced this instability in his relationship with Darth Zana, his chosen successor. Zana's eventual challenge to Bane was a culmination of years of tension, testing whether the rule of two would fulfill its purpose. Although Zana succeeded in killing Bane and claimed the title of Dark Lord, the battle was so evenly matched that some accounts suggest Bane's spirit may have tried to possess Zana's body. This ambiguity illustrates how the rule of two's inherent risks were as much a strength as a weakness. Despite these challenges, the rule of two proved remarkably effective at preserving the Sith Order. Its focus on secrecy and long-term strategy allowed the Sith to influence galactic events without drawing attention to themselves. Over centuries, successive Sith masters and apprentices infiltrated key institutions, manipulated political systems, and destabilized their enemies. By remaining hidden, they ensured that the Jedi and the Republic remained unaware of their true presence, mistaking the Sith's absence for extinction. This strategy of patience and stealth enabled the Sith to avoid the catastrophic defeats that had characterized their earlier history. The culmination of the Rule of Two's success came with Darth Sidious, also known as Emperor Palpatine. Sidious exemplified the principles of the doctrine, combining unparalleled mastery of the dark side with political acumen and strategic brilliance. His rise to power was the result of generations of Sith planning, with each master-apprentice pair contributing to the grand design. Sidious's manipulation of the Clone Wars, his orchestration of Order 66, and his transformation of the Republic into the Galactic Empire were all direct results of the Sith's adherence to the Rule of Two. Sidious's reign as Emperor represented the pinnacle of the Sith's ambitions. For the first time in millennia, the Sith had achieved total control over the galaxy, with the Jedi Order reduced to scattered remnants. However, this triumph also revealed the limitations of the Rule of Two. Sidious's relationship with his apprentice, Darth Vader, was fraught with tension and mistrust. While Vader was a powerful Sith, his loyalties were divided, and his latent connection to his former life as Anakin Skywalker ultimately led to Sidious's downfall. The Rule of Two's inherent instability was fully realized when Vader turned against Sidious to save his son, Luke Skywalker. This act of defiance not only ended Sidious's reign but also signaled the end of the Sith Order as it had existed under Bane's doctrine. While Sidious's death marked a temporary reprieve for the galaxy, it also highlighted the Rule of Two's ultimate vulnerability. Its reliance on the master-apprentice dynamic as both a source of strength and a potential weakness. The same cycle of betrayal that ensured the survival of the strongest Sith also carried the seeds of the Order's destruction. Even in the aftermath of Sidious's death, the legacy of the Rule of Two persisted. The Sith's philosophy, shaped by millennia of adherence to this doctrine, continued to influence individuals and events across the galaxy. The Sith Eternal, a secretive cult loyal to Sidious, sought to revive their master and restore the Sith to power. While these efforts culminated in the emergence of Supreme Leader Snoke and the Final Order, they lacked the clarity and discipline of the original Rule of Two. Without the singular focus provided by Bane's doctrine, the Sith's resurgence was ultimately doomed to failure. The Rule of Two's significance lies not only in its practical success but also in its philosophical depth. By distilling the Sith Order into its most essential form, Darth Bane created a system that reflected the dark side's fundamental truths. Power is to be seized, conflict is a crucible for growth, and the strong will always rise above the weak. This philosophy, though ruthless, ensured the Sith's survival in a galaxy dominated by the Jedi and the light side of the Force. In the end, the Rule of Two was both the Sith's greatest strength and their greatest limitation. It enabled them to endure and thrive in secrecy, culminating in their brief conquest of the galaxy. However, its reliance on a single master-apprentice pair made the Sith vulnerable to the same forces of ambition and betrayal that defined their existence. While the Rule of Two ultimately failed to secure the Sith's permanent dominion, its impact on galactic history and the Force itself remains undeniable. The Rule of Two, forged in the crucible of the Sith's failures and triumphs, stands as a testament to the complexity of their philosophy. It was a doctrine born of desperation and genius, shaped by the dark side's unyielding nature. Through it, the Sith achieved heights of power that once seemed unattainable, leaving a legacy that would continue to echo across the galaxy long after their apparent demise. Though the Sith may have fallen, their influence lingers, a shadow that refuses to be extinguished.